All right. So from the owlbear fight, looks like Lae'Zel's gonna come on to me. There's a lot of scripted moments like that in the game. Of course, we're gonna loot this area. We'll get the second piece of the spear. We got the first piece off of the True Soul who had died, whose siblings we sent in here to help us. You combine them, you get the Vision of the Absolute. It's a spear that does triple damage to spiders. That can be very useful in this act. You'll come down here, you'll see a statue of Selûne and a chest that deals damage to anyone who tries to open it, or even pick it up. There was a technique that people used to use where they would pick up the chest and they would set it down in the goblin camp, and the goblins would run over and try to open it, and they would kill themselves. I was going to try to use that exploit, but it looks like they patched that behavior out because now you cannot pick up the chest without taking damage. So the way you remove the enchantment from the chest is you find that Selûnite prayer sheet, you read it in front of the chest, and that removes the trap. From there, you're going to head up the rocky crag if you're following my path. There's some food supplies over here, so I'm going to grab all of those and some more herbs. Want to make sure you get all your herbs. Here's where you're going to encounter Scratch for the first time. I like to use the perception peer at collar interaction in order to have a positive conversation with him and invite him to my camp. I think that's the best possible outcome of that encounter. From there, you can climb up the vines into the Blighted Village. You'll find a sleeping bugbear, which generally speaking, you can kill him before he does anything to alert anyone else of your presence. So that's what I will do. Then I like to split the party. I put 3 up on top of the roof, and 1 member goes on the bottom. There's a goblin archer right there. This is goblin ambush. If you try to come in the front gate, they will get you. So I was able to kill that goblin archer in 1 hit, which kind of puts Shadowheart in an awkward position. It's difficult for her to engage with anybody in this fight. But everybody else is positioned pretty well for the fight, so we're going to try to deal with the Booyag. Booyags cast poison, which gives you disadvantage on your attacks and is just generally very annoying. So I always try to kill the Booyags first on any of these fights. This fight has 2 Booyags and 3 goblin archers. So we've already taken out 1 archer. We're working on taking out the first goblin Booyag. Because of our positioning, we are going to force the archer and the other Booyag to come running over. Unfortunately, Shadowheart was still too close to the edge at the bottom, so they were able to attack from their position. With better positioning or better initiative, that wouldn't have been as much of a problem. One of the goblin archers went ahead and ran down the ladder when the fight was first initiated. That's a little awkward, so that kind of puts Baevielle down in a bad spot as well. All of these things can happen on any run. There's really no way to prevent everything. A lot of it is a matter of luck. So we use dash to get Shadowheart around the building and back into the fight. And now this archer and Booyag are going to have to dash to join us. There are 3 firewine barrels here. You can use them to deal with the Booyag or the archer. However, I would generally advise against it. It would be better to pick up the barrels, and then you can use them to deal with Fezzerk in just a moment. So basically my approach here is I want to take out all the goblins in this village. That's my next thing to do. And once I get done taking out all the goblins in the village, then I'm going to head on up to the goblin camp. I'm not sure if there's any trickery that you can use in this fight to try to make it go more smoothly or more quickly. Basically just splitting my party and ambushing the one archer. That's the best that I have. Positioning people on the roof seems to be optimal for keeping people alive, so I do that. Shadowheart's in a little bit of an awkward position now, so I'm not really sure where to put her to make her most effective for what's next. So I decide bringing her up on the roof is probably the best option. Now, if you're not super careful, there is a guard wandering around up the ramp there, and if you get too close to him while you're engaged with these goblins, then he will add and he can call in other goblins. There's a group of goblins on the other side of the building to the south. So there is a possibility of this fight getting bigger and bigger if you don't manage it correctly. But generally, if you stay over here on top of the roof like this, everybody's going to stay along this eastern wall, and you'll be able to deal with them without too much hassle. So, Magic Missile is also an incredibly powerful skill at this point in the game because it goes around corners and things like that. There's a lot of awkward positioning around these ruined buildings. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up all these barrels, bring them with me in preparation for dealing with Fezzerk. And then I'll just run up here, get the waypoint, and engage this guard who's wandering about. Now, when he's on his own like this, and you're all set up to face him, generally speaking, it's very easy to kill him before he has a chance to alert anybody or get any ads involved with the fight. And so that's kind of what we're aiming at here. We want to take this guy out so that we can move on and set ourselves up well for whatever comes next. Sadly, there's going to be a lot of missing with our arcane archer. Ranged characters at low levels tend to miss quite a lot, so that's not that unusual. We also get the haste helm. That is a great item, particularly at the lower levels of the game. It's going to make one of your the character who's using it is going to move so much further. So it's very helpful for that. And so I like to set up this fight now with the barrels. Now, generally speaking, you would have more barrels if you didn't use them in the owlbear fight. You could have like 7 barrels at this point. The only thing you want to be careful of here, and the reason why I'm moving everything from so far away, is that if you are seen and you go out of hiding and you're anywhere on the stairs, at the top of the stairs, it's going to initiate conversation with Fezzerk, just like that. And so that's going to make it difficult to do what I'm trying to do, which is blow him up. Fortunately, Baevielle was still far enough away that it wasn't a huge issue, so I'm able to blow up Fezzerk. Now, one of two things can happen here, and I'm not sure what triggers the difference between them. In some cases, Fezzerk dying will cause all the rest of the goblins and wargs to just leave the area. But that's not what happened here for me. So what I'm trying to do is group everybody together so we can try to take them out as quickly as possible. Looks like I'm going to use a Potion of Speed. Potion of Speed is going to give you an extra action. So now I can throw a bomb up there where everybody is clumped together. And that's going to really help the fight. Took a couple out, did a lot of damage. That kind of changes the face of what we're looking at. Now, the thing I want to be careful about at this point is not to end Baevielle's turn, because I still have 2 characters who are not in the fight. So I can crouch with these characters, I can sneak in closer, I can get better positioning for these characters by utilizing the fact that everybody else is in initiative order right now and I am not. Now, this is not something that would happen at in tabletop D&D. But here in this game, it's incredibly useful. It's a nice tool for getting a really powerful surprise round or making sure that a fight goes your way. So there's two ways I can go with Karlach. I can have her jump closer to the goblins, or I can have her move away, setting her up on high ground. It looks like in the end, I decide not to do either. I'm just going to have her join the fight as is and lay out a little damage on these archers. It is important, again, to remember that at this level, goblin archers do quite a lot of damage, so they are dangerous. They're relatively easy to kill, but you do want to deal with them as quickly as possible. With my positioning of Baevielle, it opened her up to an attack from the Warg, so be that as it may. At this point, I'm just trying to get everybody into the fight so we can move forward. I'm opting to deal with the wargs first. I would say that's a mistake. I think that the archers are going to be more of a problem, and that generally speaking, you should get rid of the archers first, deal with the wargs later. Now, the wargs they're not slouches. They probably deal more damage than the archers. The problem is they take more time to kill. So they're going to put you at a disadvantage in that way. Trying to figure out what I want to do with Lae'Zel. I guess I decide to do nothing. I wouldn't worry too much about the goblin who's casting Bless. I don't think that's a huge problem. I do like the fact that I am focusing my efforts on getting at least one of the wargs off of the battlefield. You want to do that as quickly as possible because, like I said, they can do quite a lot of damage. So you don't want to leave both of them up. Don't split your damage. Focus your damage on one of them, get them down, then you can deal with the other one. I'm going to try to do something about this Goblin Archer. That's a good idea. Looks like Karlach was pretty successful with Fireball there. Lae'Zel is out of spell slots, so she's going to just be using cantrips from here on in. She did take out the person, or the goblin who did the bless. That's cool. That's pretty interesting. So now we're just towing up to this warg who has the support of a goblin archer and seeing if we can survive this. So goblin archer does a lot. Looks like maybe we could take this warg out. Nice. The warg goes down. So the warg ends up not doing very much. Now things look great. At this point, there's not a super amount of RNG left. It's just a matter of taking out this archer, and I think that Baevielle can actually do it by just ending her blade song because he had low health.